pray for us?
Yeah, I do.
Would everybody,
We're going to pray.
Bow with us.
can we get everybody bow your heads, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this day. Lord, we just ask that you continue to be with us as a county, all of our tornado survivors. Lord, just continue to be with our first responders, our county employees that are out and about in these areas, and we just lift them all up to you. Lord, just be with us today as we conduct the county business, and I just pray that we do it in a way that is pleasing to you. And we just pray all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and call Marshall County Fiscal Court to order February 15th, 2022. We've got quite a few first responders in the room, so we're going to go ahead and jump to that on the agenda because some of you may get a call. So we'll go ahead, and I see Brian. I see you back here. We've got the House of Representatives here in the state did some citations to recognize the first responders in our region with the tornado disasters. So that's why we asked you to be here today. So we're going to make some recommendations. Well deserved. This is on the agenda under new business, but we're going to go ahead and jump to that. First, correspondence. First, I'd like to have East Marshall Fire. Is Tex, you want to come up? What we're going to do is we're going to present these to you and to your agencies and to recognize you. So why don't you come on up? Let me read this. This is the House of Representatives, Commonwealth of Kentucky, citation of heroism. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Kentucky's first responders, state and local government employees, and volunteers during the 2022 regular session of the Kentucky General Assembly for demonstrating extraordinary courage, compassion, and professional skill in a critical time of need following the catastrophic tornado that moved across the Commonwealth on December 10th and 11th, 2021, leaving unimaginable destruction in its wake and causing at least 77 deaths, as many injuries, and leaving countless Kentuckians without homes and basic necessities. In communities across Kentucky, brave first responders, dedicated state and local government employees, and generous volunteers of all walks of life came together to help one another in the aftermath that followed the disastrous December tornado. These extraordinary individuals worked tirelessly, often at great personal risk and expense, to rescue their fellow citizens, to help others find shelter and basic necessities, and to provide comfort and hope to one another, and particularly to those who suffered unimaginable loss, inasmuch as Kentucky's dedicated first responders, state and local government employees, and volunteers have worked tirelessly since December 10th and have continually utilized their time, talent, and resources to help their fellow Kentuckians as they strive to recover from the devastating event. The members of this august body and deeply honored to join Representative Myron Dossett in offering sincere commendation and gratitude to these brave and compassionate citizens for the effort put forth in this most worthwhile endeavor, and extending best wishes for their future safety and success as they continue to labor so diligently in the interest of the common good. Done in Frankfort, Kentucky, this 27th day of January in 2022. So, Tex, come up front here. I think everybody knows Tex represents East Marshall. Yes, sir. That's where the EOC was set up. So we appreciate you and the volunteer fire department and your men and women that helped. So you guys come on in and don't be shy.
Yep, hang on. Let's do, y'all coming together?
Yeah.
And then let's keep you two here, and then Jason and Justin, y'all can kind of, yeah. Come on up and close. Jason, you want to step? There we go. Here? Yep. So get closer. There we go. Get in closer, Justin. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay. You're good.
Same thing, West Marshall. John, I see you back here. Is this on? Okay. Come on up here. Same thing.
Y'all just stay in that same spot you're in. Justin. Monty. There we go. There we go. Got it.
I do.
Brian, with EMS, guys, come on up here. And again, a lot of people don't know, obviously, this recognition for all the agencies. Some of you, people saw some agencies out in front. They got to deal with individuals personally, but then there are some that obviously work behind the scenes that they don't get to see. So we want to recognize you.
There we go. 1, 2, 3. Wow. There we go.
Look like you're wearing Jackson's pants. Goes on, stays there, you know. Maybe he is on accident. Hope so.
Next is law enforcement, Eddie.
Hey, Matt. Let's squeeze you in closer to Pat. Yep, you got it. Yeah, there you go. Please do that. Yes. All right, here we go. A little bit closer. There we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, your smells so good. One more.
Oh, there's one more?
More emergency management.
Wait.
A lot of EOC operations, so a lot of behind-the-scenes work that a lot of people don't see with our emergency management office. So,
All right, 1, 2, 3. Got it.
all right, we'll go ahead and get on with the guests. I know Chad, you've got to go to a meeting, so we'll go ahead and get you on the agenda first.
No pictures for Chad today.
Yeah.
You don't want me in the paper. They're much more deserving than I am.
So I've asked Chad here. We had previously discussed some water projects with our ARPA monies that the county is getting. Currently, we have the first half of that $6 million. We have $3 million that we received. And sat down with Chad and asked if he could put together a proposal so that we can go ahead and start discussing moving forward with the Hunter Road project. And it should be on your commissioner's page, Walnut Church Grove project. if you can, give an update as far as because I know there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the ARPA monies. These monies are with us locally. We saw the awarding of the $1,058,000, which were the allocated dollars to each county that the governor just awarded to Hardin and Benton. But there are also monies, ARPA monies at DLG that are still waiting for potential approval for support, financial support with ARPA monies that the state has. But these dollars are the dollars that we have.
All right. I'll start there. As the judge mentioned, it was probably going back to last August or September whenever we last met to present the projects that we'd broken up throughout the West Marshall area, the Hardin area, and Calvert City area. We presented those budgetary estimates to the Fiscal Court at that time. So this is kind of the second or follow-up meeting from that, moving at the speed of the monies, so to speak. With that, as the judge mentioned, he asked us to prepare this engineering services proposal. The Hardin projects are unique in that they are not tied to the additional ARPA monies that are still hopefully forthcoming through DLG and KIA. That's a separate $150 million pot of money that they're looking at. They're going to break up that money, as we previously discussed. They've got two $50 million pots of money, and 50 of that is allocated to getting water to currently unserved residents in the state of Kentucky in the Commonwealth. This project was not tied to those funds, so the judge asked us to prepare this services proposal to help move those projects along in the Hardin area, in hopes that in the coming months we'll hear something here pretty quick from DLG, KIA about the award of the grant funds for possibly helping out with the West Marshall area and the Calvert City area projects. So we're still waiting. As the judge mentioned, the check there and the county and they received the money here it was 3 weeks ago now, I guess it was. That was kind of the first round, getting the county monies out, and now it's our understanding that they will start allocating and awarding the other monies to the areas that are awarded the grant monies through that program. So this project, again, from Hunter Road and Walnut Church Grove, we've combined two projects together. As noted in the proposal, the Hunter Road project starts at Old 641 and extends about 2/3 of a mile or so to the east to Lily Brown Lane. There's some existing residents on that area through there that are currently unserved, and there's also several residents through there that are underserved, just with long 1-inch service lines running several thousand feet to serve these properties with really low levels of service, causing a lot of problems in that area. And it kind of goes along with the line of getting that water out there, improving service and getting service to customers and residents that don't have it. The Walnut Church Grove area project, that's a little bit further to the east at the other end of Hunter Road. That project actually ties the city of Benton's southern end of their water system to the northern end of the Hardin water system together along Walnut Church Grove. Also includes serving residents along Glade, Gaslight Lane, and then finishing up with a little bit along Hunter Road just west of the intersection with Walnut Church Grove. So that picks up in total approximately 15 residents currently unserved in those areas, folks that have been requesting water for some time, is my understanding. So it meets those needs, and it's kind of a, for lack of better reason or better term, it's kind of no man's land between the two water systems right now. Over the years, as the cities have grown and expanded to the south and the north, these areas just hadn't been reached yet with the public water service. So this will help them get onto the public water systems, give them a higher level of service, and be able to get off some wells that they may have some issues with.
So how far, once this is complete, how far will we be from, I guess east-west, I don't know, but the church side of Walnut Grove versus the 402 side?
Closer to the church side.
It's closer to that side, but I'm saying how much space now will be in between where this stops and where Hardin stops on Walnut Grove Church Road?
Well, this connects Hardin to Benton. So, but
It does,
going
so-
from where Hardin's main currently stops, there's a new house being built on Walnut Church Grove
Yeah.
now, and it's dead-ended at a hydrant. So we're gonna start there and then extend north to Anderson Lane, which
Okay.
is the end of the Benton line right now. So it's gonna tie.
It's gonna
that
loop
whole-
everything
It's gonna tie all
Yeah.
that together.
Yep.
Okay, I couldn't remember that. All right,
Yep. So there
good.
shouldn't be any dead zones on Walnut Church Grove, and then we're gonna have some
And it
finger
comes off
lines
to
that come off to east
Glade.
and west.
And Gaslight.
And
Gas
Gaslight.
light. Yes, sir.
on there. Okay. All right.
It's definitely needed. Like you said, it being a no man's land, when they brought this project to me, I was surprised that they didn't have water access out there. But it is. It was just kind of in between Hardin and Benton. I had one lady that's lived out there, she said 30 years, she's had to put in 5 wells. I mean, that gets expensive, you know, and she had just give up hope that they were ever going to get water out here. So this is a good project. 15 residents doesn't sound a lot, but when you don't have water, that's, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about the project itself?
So as far as a time frame, we're still waiting on the DLG
For the other projects, these projects here in the
This
Hardin
one
area, these
is-
were not tied to those funds.
go on.
So
Okay.
that was kind of the catalyst here to move forward with these on the onset, and then hopefully the other ones come in behind.
Okay.
And this upgrading the size of the line, they got what, 1-inch lines out there? It's going
Yes,
to,
on the west side of Hunter Road.
that's
yes,
going to
sir.
help with the pressure issue too. They have a lot of pressure
Lot.
issues out that way too.
Yeah, when you have multiple residents all pulling off of a 1-inch line, it's typically designed for a standard water service for a residence or just a shade bigger. It doesn't take much, you know, somebody running the washing machine or turning on water sprinkling in their yard or anything along those lines. It makes the guy down the line hurt. I mean, it's pulling on the water. If you've ever been in a house and everybody's using the shower at the same time, it's kind of the same function.
I have.
I got
Two
two daughters,
daughters.
too, so I know how it goes.
Yep, right, we're in the same. All right, I move
Yeah.
we approve,
And we also got the
Oh.
Rivercrest proposal, engineering proposal, which is for these 2 projects.
You'll see on the first and second page of that proposal, you'll see the services. This includes services from the preliminary stage, including the modeling that we'll use on the front end, just to verify the fire protection aspect of the project. And then this takes it all the way through the end of construction. It includes assistance with administration of the grant funds, as we've done on previous projects. We've got easement development and negotiations, so we actually have time to go out there and talk with the property owners, you know, discuss easements with them. Right-of-ways are pretty tight out there with some ditches close to the road, so it looks like we'll be private utility easements through there. And this also includes some additional environmental permitting that's going to be required of those grant monies. I know my discussions and webinars I've watched and sat in with the KIA folks, they've tried to get away with some of the additional hoops you got to jump through with their traditional KIA loans. They were able to get out of some of them to speed up the process, but some of the environmental project requirements have stayed in there. So.
Chad, is there a guideline on fire hydrants on how far apart they?
On spacing, it depends. Rural project standard, maximum spacing is 1,000 feet. As the more dense you get, as far as houses go, we typically move that to around 500, just depending on where it's at. From what we've heard in the past, from insurance standpoints, if you can get within 500 feet of a residence, and that typically helps out considerably from that fire protection and response standpoint. So we try to use that as our rule of thumb. If we can keep a hydrant within 500 foot of a residence, and that puts us in pretty good shape, puts the residents in pretty good shape.
approval.
No other questions?
I move that well, you had a motion
Go
on the
ahead.
floor, so I move that we approve.
Motion to approve the Rivercrest engineering proposal for the 2 projects.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. The other ones will still, we should be hearing something from
Yeah. I'm
DLG.
kind of on schedule. I touch base with them at least once a month, trying to get updates from them through email. they're getting bombarded with all the systems now, trying to get a hold of them, so, you know, just try to make contact with them and get.
As far as
information.
the Calvert project.
Calvert projects, and yeah, basically all the Western Kentucky projects, I'm touching them on, just make sure that they don't forget about us over here.
Yeah, and the Oak Level project, that is unserved, so that is a really good project for those monies. Total, a little over 13 million for the
Total project.
total
cost.
project.
Mhm.
But we're really hoping that we can get some of the DLG monies to help make our dollars locally go further.
And that's the first pot. There is, and I know it hadn't been approved yet, but there is a, what, 250 or 350 second pot in this new budget, state.
In the new budget.
Budget,
I don't know
right.
how that's gonna shake out.
I know it
as far as the water
hadn't been
sewer.
approved yet, but
Mhm.
another 250 or 350, I can't remember. For water and wastewater, maybe 250.
I thought it was 250, and
Yeah.
then there's one that's like 49 million. There's like three pots.
Yeah.
But the total cumulative of the three are
Well,
250.
We'll keep our fingers crossed that
Yeah.
they add another 250 to that. That'd be
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
All right.
And one more thing, Chad, I think we need to explain to folks is how important Oak Level, once we get it started, how it's going to start not only getting water to the folks out Oak Level, but we'll eventually get it down Hauser Road, out Banzor, out that way, because we got to get that operational before we can start working our way out there. Isn't that correct?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's
Okay.
kind of two folds there. One is to
Yeah.
get that tank filled and get residents served off of that tank that's sitting out there on the north side of Oak Level Highway. And then there's a tremendous amount south of Oak Level Highway as well, kind of west of the 641 bypass that are currently unserved. And there's some good corridors and areas where a lot of customers can be picked up pretty quick that don't currently have water.
A lot of the people out there that have wells, they're usable, but they're bad. Heavy rains, they're horrible,
Gotcha.
absolutely horrible.
And I want to make a statement too. I know the media and everybody likes to hone in on how this court, we argue back and forth and bicker. But I think it, a lot to be said about this court taking on these water projects. This was an issue that had been a major issue in this county for many years. And this court, from day one, we've tackled it. We've done little projects. When we got this ARPA money, we committed it toward water projects. So, yeah, we do bicker and argue and go back and forth, but at the end of the day, we do find common ground and we get some things done for this county, and I think that needs to be said. You won't hear that on the media, though.
No, you won't.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Chad.
Where's she at? I don't see her. Oh, there you are, back here in the back. Laurel, you're next. Morning.
Good morning.
Can I, before you start,
Just say no, Laurel.
we tell the guys to spell December right on that email. It's been spelled wrong this whole time, and I know how I've let it go this long.
Okay,
The
yes,
debris
we'll
tech.
fix that immediately.
Yeah.
The things you worry about, money.
They're data people, not poets, apparently, so, but yeah, we'll.
Yeah. It says December.
Oh,
Or
my
so,
God.
oh, it's been killing me this.
Speak up. See something, say something.
I know I should. You're right. I
Don't
need to,
tell
I
him
need
that.
to
We'll
talk.
be here
I need
all
to
day.
talk
You
more.
need to talk more.
May
That-
need a sign that says 5
We'll be
minutes.
here all day.
I'm glad you said that, Laurel. Thank you.
Marshall report.
All right, now to the.
Okay, so where we are, where we're going. Debris project is almost done. We have a lot of FEMA personnel in the county today. We have site inspections with the debris specialists that specialize in private roads, private property debris removal that will be here this afternoon. We'll be out in the Cambridge Shores area looking at those 3 roads that we discussed last fiscal court. So I think that we should get approval from those 3 roads, but I I think so, but I don't know so. So we'll see what happens out of that. If we do not get the approval for FEMA to do that, that may be something the court may want to consider to do at cost to the court, not that we won't claim to FEMA, because the debris does need to be cleaned up. It is a health and safety issue. It is hampering your economic recovery. So if FEMA says no, then the court will have something to think about.
And I can tell you, if they do say no, I'm prepared to bring legislation to you guys to do exactly that.
Okay. And it's, I don't
But
want to call it an
it is-
It would need to
insignificant-
be done prior
Yes.
to the next fiscal court meeting, I assume, or no?
Maybe, yeah, maybe you want
Yeah,
to
I
do,
mean, we can
you have
you can
any-
just,
always do a special meeting, but
okay. And,
Yeah, 'cause
and,
we don't
and I
have a
don't
cost.
necessarily know that it would need to be a fiscal court decision, but it's just a decision that would need to be made by the county.
well, the cost will be,
I mean, maybe
we obviously.
less than $5,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Oh, okay.
I mean, just for this site inspection today, to have FEMA be here to jump through all these hoops, probably costs more than the debris costs, but. like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
but, you know, we're
Taxpayers'
following the
money at its
rules,
best,
like,
yeah.
I mean.
maybe they'll come up with a rule if it's less than certain cubic yardage, we can just use best judgment, but they don't give us those rules, so.
Is that something we can go ahead and,
We can.
I mean,
You don't see any issues if FEMA does not approve the court's action as far as picking up debris on the 3 private roads. If they were to deny it for whatever reason, the court go ahead and take action to pick it up anyways, because it is in the affected area of the tornado.
Well, it's like we talked about Thursday at the health board meeting. You know, private road is not really an accurate description.
Right, at
Roy,
least
feel
two
free
of
to
the roads.
chime in here. I mean, those roads have been used by the public for,
yeah, no one knew those. were
Right.
I mean,
It-
30, 40 years or longer. So, I mean, they're,
Have we maintained them, or no?
No.
We haven't, okay.
No.
It's
Somebody
likely
asked me
that when
that.
the other roads in the surrounding area were taken on into the county system, maybe those were just left off, or maybe there was a reason. I don't know. Just making stuff up here.
but yeah, I don't think they've ever been taken in the county system. But
Right.
I mean, as far as public roads, I think you'd have a hard time arguing that they weren't public roads.
So,
So.
So we could.
Could we make a motion, say up to $10,000?
correct, yeah.
So I move that if FEMA does not approve the debris removal on those 3 private roads in Cambridge Shores subdivision, that the county pay for that up to $10,000 without having to come back to us.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And just for clarification, these are technically listed as private roads, but they're public. They're not behind a gate. There's no access. It's free. It's used by emergency 911 to gain access to other locations. So it's not a private driveway. It's not really a private road, but technically it's a private road. Let's see, our debris project, I don't know that we've announced a final call, but we were,
We need to.
okay. I think maybe we were going to say
March 10th?
March 10th is the final call, or March 10th over and done?
No, the final call to get debris out to the right of way.
Okay, so all debris needs to be to the right of way by March 10th.
Right.
And if there's any problem getting that debris to the right of way, for whatever reason, call the hotline. Now, if it's that the insurance adjuster hasn't been out yet, then that's not something we can necessarily solve. That adjuster needs to get out there.
Right.
We can't do onesie, twosie pickup because the contractor can't stay around forever. And the road department just won't be able to handle that. And if they have an insurance adjuster involved, they probably have payment for debris removal in their insurance policy. So we cannot ask it's not a reasonable request to ask the contractor to stay around for county debris cleanup for one or two houses that haven't had an insurance adjuster yet, because they're probably eligible for insurance private contractor removal. But if that's not the case, then we need to be made aware quickly. Maybe we can help light a fire under the insurance adjuster for the residents.
Right? That's the go anyways.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like, ooh, that would be fun. Who's in a bad mood? Let's call them. Okay, so debris, March 10th is last, everything needs to be
call.
at the right of way of March 10th. That means if it's not March 10th, March 11th, they can do a last pass, and if it's not there, it's not getting picked up.
So do we still, we would be able to also go back in our records and see if we still have folks that have called the hotline
Yes,
and
yeah.
have debris that needs to be removed?
Yes.
Contact them again one more time
Yep.
and say,
Yeah, it's got.
is it removed?
Yes.
Yet?
Yeah.
Or if it's not, here's how long you have.
Right, and we've done a little bit of course correction on how we're routing those debris calls. Before the hotline folks were calling the debris contractor directly, they were stopping what they were doing and taking their big truck to possibly a small pile. So now what we're doing is routing the calls through the road department, and then road department is prioritizing or saying it's 10 cubic yards or it's 1,000 cubic yards, like do send 2 big trucks, or
Okay.
but we don't need to send 2 big trucks for, a stick.
2 4x4s.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Roy's been
Yeah.
doing that, so.
calls still go to the hotline. Roy has access to the hotline database, and he goes in and prioritizes, and then probably does something to mark them done, or, yeah. Nope. Ice storm debris is being handled separately, but we're clearly documenting it. We're over-documenting it so that later on, no one can say, no auditor, no FEMA reviewer, no state reviewer can say, show me that you didn't clean up your ice storm with your tornado funds, because it's a different pot of money. And likely, there's no pot of money for the ice storm. The majority of the damage was Caldwell and Hopkins County, and they just, even though it was devastating to Caldwell County, it wasn't devastating enough statewide, so they didn't make the threshold. So
Yeah.
Marshall County did have some ice storm damage, but in order to get, there wasn't enough dollar damage statewide.
Right.
Don't tell that to anyone in Caldwell County, because they
Yeah,
had a
you-
double whammy.
And we've been through this before. We can meet a local threshold and not meet the state
Correct.
threshold. And that's pretty much what happened.
Correct. So Marshall County does have ice storm damages. You may see that we're monitoring those ice storm damages, but that doesn't mean we're getting federal reimbursement. We're just doing it to prevent any slowdown of funding of the tornado funding.
Right. And it's good, I mean, it's good management.
Right, and it's a small expense.
Yeah, it saves us, as you say,
Correct.
a discussion later.
Yeah.
But Roy, the road department, I mean, they were out there. We did have a lot of trees on the road, a lot of right-of-way work on top of going out and trying to plow the roads. So, but the threshold just wasn't enough.
Yes. Now, if there's damages somewhere in the county, we've probably picked up everything, or close to.
Today will be the last
Yeah.
day for the
So if there is ice storm damages that are still, that citizens think are still there after today, road department needs to be made aware. Every little bit might count towards our statewide. I mean, we have 30 days to make that declaration threshold, so I just don't see it happening, but if there's ice storm, like, let's hear about it now, and every little bit will count towards that statewide. But it's not going to happen. But maybe.
Maybe. I think the the last FEMA event we had, and I can't remember if it was out at the park, but the local threshold is like 117,000, and the state threshold is just a little over 4 million. Now, that may have changed over the past 1 or 2 years, but
Yeah,
we're just, I don't,
Yeah.
I agree, I don't think we're going to
every
make it.
dollar counts, even if Marshall County, even if it didn't meet the Marshall County threshold, it would count towards the state threshold, so you would help your Caldwell and Hopkins neighbors, but we're doing the best we can, and we're probably just not going to get there. But, okay, so debris is almost done, including on state roads. The Marshall County contractor and monitor will have started or will start on state roads. We did get that clearance from KYTC, so, and that includes the interstate. I'm sorry, they have been working on state roads, but now it will also include the interstate. So you should, if you see
Roy,
folks out
y'all
doing
been getting Van Zora, I know has any debris been picked up on Tom Lane Road? Do y'all know? Yes. Okay. I had a few farmers out there give me a call, and I didn't know if we had hit that or not.
Good. So debris. FEMA is in, as I said, in full force. You may see people in FEMA windbreakers or in FEMA polo shirts around town, and they are here, one, helping with individual assistance, but we will see them in full force with public assistance. And so we'll have our kickoff meeting, it's called a recovery scoping meeting, this week, and we will move just as quickly as they will let us move towards reimbursement. We have a couple projects almost complete. We have the Marshall County Sheriff's Project almost complete. They've been great with their everyone's been great with their documentation, but Tim brings me something each week or each day, like, here's this. And so that's been very helpful. We don't have all of the projects complete yet, but we're going to push. We will try to have as many small projects as possible. Small gets paid quicker and doesn't have a final closeout process. So if they will let us have small projects, we will do that. If they don't, then we will not. But meaning, Marshall County Sheriff will be a separate project than Marshall County Other Emergency Protective Measures 1, because we want to do separate accounting, but also because that helps keep them two small projects instead of one large project. We get the money faster.
Speaking of getting the money faster,
Okay.
Laura and I had talked about this. We have discussed this, I think, our last meeting. We still do not know the 30-day window for 100% reimbursement. We're still being told it's a 120-day slidable scale. We really don't know what that means, but it will have, as I stated before, the Tuscaloosa mayor stated, I think he quoted a FEMA representative saying there's winners and losers in a disaster. And they have to be very cognitive of what counties have dealt with and what they have done. And I just don't know how they're going to slide that scale without affecting a county or counties.
Yeah, someone's going to. Now, hopefully it won't be us, and hopefully the local share that if that sliding, the 30-day period, if it does, benefit another county more than it benefits Marshall County, we'll be able to offset that with the volunteer and donations. I'll work really hard to include all the volunteer time that Living Lands and Waters has contributed to the county. If that doesn't count, then we'll have all the other volunteer time.
And I've just got to ask, whose pot of money?
The counties.
So
your local share can be offset
share.
by. Yeah. So, that sliding scale is for 100%. So if it works out that we will have a local share. I mean, no matter what. because we didn't get it all done in 30 days. So we'll have a local share. That local share can be offset with donation and volunteer grant. And that volunteer and donations grant, we have to document certain activities that happen in the county that the county did not have to hire a contractor to do. So I am hopeful that we will have all that documentation. If they accept our Living Lands and Waters documentation, we're done. Like, won't have a local share. Because they've done $5 million worth of
Debris
correct.
cleanup, yeah.
But it may not be as simple as that. They may
Right.
say, no, that should have been TVA, or that should have been NRC. Like, it may not fly.
We wouldn't disagree with that. About TVA.
Actually, we have good news, I
Okay.
think, for TVA. TVA is supporting Living Lands and Waters with a small grant. So
Yeah.
the judge and I went over last week, Wednesday.
Last
It's all
Wednesday.
one long day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it took a whole day. We went and spoke in support of Living Lands and Water at the TVA listening session, and they did come through with some money for Living Lands and Waters. It was not the full amount, and still has to be offset some other places. But I think between the Community Foundation and TVA and working together, I think that their operation is fully funded, and we'll have a clean lake by the time recreation season starts. A clean and safe lake. That's the most important.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what, and I'll reach back out to Living Lands and Waters. I don't know how they determine when they're done. Like, how do you know you got everything off the bottom of the lake? Do we sonar everything? I don't know what done means. So,
Yeah, and I do know Chad mentioned that they were going to be out for the next couple of months.
yeah, yes,
That's their go-to, is to make sure that it's safe.
yes. And also, they're going to have a float at Tater Days. Like, this is a big deal, and they have, you're right.
Hey, what?
Yes, it's a big deal,
Okay,
Laurel.
yes, well, I don't have a float
Stick
ready.
around.
I don't
Well, you
have-
better get to
Till
working on it.
April.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Living Lands and Waters has
Especially 'cause it
committed
hadn't
to
been here 2
participating in
years.
Tater Days.
yeah, it's huge.
Okay, well, just wait till you see what Chad and Living Lands does. They're doing something special.
You gonna have a float?
Well, when you put me on the spot like this, no.
Will they have corn dogs? Do we know that? Polish sausage.
Apparently, they
Cream
have like a
puffs is
whole
what they want.
barge that's like a radio barge. I don't
They're
they have
excited.
fun cleanups.
Just
apparently.
build the excitement.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
If you want to march in the parade, just line up ahead of the horses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Best
we don't need
practice.
that barge coming in there after the.
Oh, Lordy.
More horses than you've ever seen in one place.
Yep.
Okay, I like this. Okay, so debris is wrapping up. If it's not there by March 10th, it's not getting picked up. Call the hotline.
One other thing to discuss, or at least just bring to attention, the community fund.
Yes,
When Marshall County or any county is awarded a huge donation, just like the Thoroughbred Association, some people see that and they think that the Fiscal Court is getting $100,000. And it's actually, those monies are being donated to the community fund. And the biggest reason is because it's organized. And Tony and Chris do a great job of managing those monies, and there's a vetting system and a subcommittee. And so the recent $100,000 that we got from the Thoroughbred Association is going to the community fund, and then from there, we have to submit projects, for lack of better terms, for survivors that have funding gaps. Just yesterday, we identified, when the tornado came through, a lady's power pole was obviously ripped up and gone. to get a FEMA temporary housing, they come out and they inspect. Well, that's on the resident to get that power pole up. And so the community fund, that's where these monies come in. They step in, the documentation's there, and they cover that cost. So that's the reason why Fulton and Marshall were the first two to get the donations for the county is because we were the first two that actually joined with the community fund. So I just want to clear that up.
Right, it's that
and make sure
credibility of that community fund that really made it happen.
Correct.
That donation there wouldn't have happened without the association with the community
Correct.
fund.
And we don't have those monies in our coffers.
No,
So it's
it was
like
not to
this
the
governing
fiscal court.
body.
Yeah.
We do not physically hold those dollars, so
Yep,
I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, that's to the long-term recovery fund. So that's a good transition from debris, the public assistance, so the items, roads that were damaged, ditches that were damaged, public infrastructure that was damaged, street signs, stop signs. That's the next step that I'll be working on as the public assistance grant consultant, and Brad and I will be meeting with FEMA later this week. So we'll start that process. Then the long-term recovery is a process that the community will be participating on, but the court had some things to consider to help guide that process. And specifically, one is direct housing, so trailers that are travel trailers that FEMA will be contacting individual citizens one-on-one. The court is not facilitating or is not the go-between. If citizens have not, and maybe I'm stealing the judge or Sue's thunder, but I'm just going to continue.
Yeah.
So if citizens have not recently talked to FEMA and they are interested in travel trailers or mobile home, they need to reach back out to FEMA by going to disasterassistance.gov, going to the in-person FEMA Disaster Recovery Center, or calling the 800 number, and making sure that everyone's aware that they are interested in direct housing, AKA travel trailers or mobile homes. There are citizens that have been contacted by FEMA, so we know the process is working. So if they have not been contacted, they need to reach out and say, hey, what's up? Please and thank you.
Yeah, and let me just give this number out for FEMA for the temporary housing. It's 800-621-3362. And the key, I'm kind of getting into the next item, but the court did a resolution to extend the FEMA
And
presence.
that was successful.
In SBA, and it was March 14th is now the deadline.
For FEMA.
For FEMA,
I
so.
don't know that we've heard that SBA has been extended. Okay, so both have been extended,
Yeah.
and thank you to the fiscal court. You were one of the first fiscal courts to take that action and to spur the other courts on to also do a letter, and so that was
Yes.
successful. So that
Yep.
was great leadership.
I think
and
SBA is March 13th.
that could be, yeah.
And so with that, if somebody, because we do know that there are folks out there who are still undecided or has not contacted FEMA, and these deadlines are extremely important.
They're extremely
because
important.
The temporary housing, FEMA's out now, and that's just one option for temporary housing, but they are out there now visiting sites.
Yeah, they're doing site
And-
assessments, and so the only thing that can slow down the travel trailers or the mobile home installation is one, the citizens not registering for it, not calling back. This is not the time to give up.
Correct.
Like, power
Correct.
through, push through.
Correct.
If you're tired of calling, have someone help you call. Like, call, get your appointment scheduled for your direct housing, AKA travel trailers, AKA mobile homes, depending on the family size. FEMA takes care of everything, the hookup fees, but they will come out, visit the site, and make sure it's appropriate. And they will also install everything. They will put skirting. They will put heat tape. Like it will be inappropriate, but the site does need to have utilities. And so for those sites that FEMA identifies that's missing a power pole or missing something, then that's when long-term recovery can step in, or the fiscal court can help expedite some of the issues. For example, Judge, I think you might have made a phone call to Rural Electric to make sure to expedite that pole getting.
And just to make sure we're talking about with that specific one, it's not the utility pole, it's the meter. It's
I'm not sure. I think
that
it's
the
the
meter.
whole pole.
Yeah,
But
the
I'm
whole
not
pole.
sure.
Well, that one may be, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that
Right.
they're
right.
doing
There
the
need to be
utility poles, but
Yeah.
it's the meter. for
Yeah,
that.
everything,
I got you.
FEMA's not gonna rerun,
Right,
sewer lines or septic but everything needs to be there so it can, it can tie in.
gotcha.
But if folks are wanting a trailer or a mobile home and they have not been contacted, they need to burn up the phone.
Yeah.
Or go in person to the DRC or check online.
And they can also, if they have questions, I know Corey is putting a
Yes.
spreadsheet together as well, so that we,
Yeah.
you know,
So
my
call the
office, and I can update the court as far as, hey, we already know some folks have made decisions as far as they're not going to rebuild, they're just leaving, they've already bought homes, and so we're starting to identify those that have already made decisions.
Correct.
But yeah, this extension, I really don't know if it'll be, this is important for folks to do that.
Yes, this is, and it's good, these trailers can be in place for currently 15.
16.
Well, yeah, 16 months from
The
the event,
visit,
so,
yeah.
yeah. So it's good for over a year, and then it can be extended. Again, it would be the court sending a letter, several counties sending a letter, and then it could be extended. So even though it's a travel trailer, and it will be, it can be up over a year.
Yeah.
And if folks are worried about, I don't want to live in a travel trailer because I'm going to have to pay for all that propane, FEMA will be servicing the propane. As I understood, right, Judge?
Yes, I think they're, in the meeting, they were discussing
Talking
the
about
size.
a bigger propane tank
Yeah.
size, so I assumed that meant they were going to provide the
Yes.
propane as well?
That's the way I understood it.
Sue, do they provide utilities?
Well, they may provide the size of the tank.
Okay, maybe that's the size of the tank.
May not
okay.
be, but
So I could be wrong there.
Yeah.
That seems a little too good to be true.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the short term with direct housing, travel trailers, and mobile homes, and then we have the long-term recovery group that has kicked off. And I'm the public assistance, public infrastructure consultant, so I have been helping out on the long-term recovery as needed, just because I'm warm body in the room, but I'm not the expert, and I won't be on your long-term recovery board forever and ever, because I don't live here forever and ever. Except for having a float and tater days, apparently.
Right.
Ahead of the horses. So, Judge, do you want to talk about long-term recovery, or you want Sue?
Yeah, so
Can I-
long,
Can I ask before you get to that, the bill that we're paying today for the debris removal?
Yes.
Do you know how many days or how many, I didn't get the chance to get the invoice to see how many cubic yards. No,
For,
it looks great.
yeah, it looks great.
it.
was that like?
So,
To
okay, let me
date-
stall. It is, I can just say it's reasonable, but I can pull it up while we're talking and tell you the period of time. We had to break it up because we had an emergency contract, and then their next billing is monthly, but then we had to do one quickly so we can get it to the state, so
Through
we had to
January
revise those a
31st.
couple times.
It was through January 31st.
Okay.
Through January 31st? Okay.
I think
That's
the
everything.
combined local and state,
You mean the ER
6 million.
assist and, is that what you say by both? Okay. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, ER system is a little bit on a different schedule, and just the way the math works, the the ER Assist invoices will not be split to the state until the very end when we know the percentage. So much like some of the debris site costs, we split the debris tickets based on where the debris was picked up, but we don't split the monitoring costs like that because monitors are billed by the hour, not by the cubic yards pickup location. So at the end, we'll split that out. So even though part of it will go to the county's FEMA public assistance grant and part of it will go to the states to pay, and then they will turn around and put that on their state public assistance grant. But we won't know that breakdown until we're done, sometime in March, after March 10th, which is the last day to get the debris to the right-of-way.
All right.
Okay, so for long-term recovery, do you want to talk about long-term recovery?
Yeah, so we had a meeting, I think, Monty, you were there last Friday. Basically, the subcommittee, or the committee that's being put in place, is a 7-member committee, and it's the goal is to have the local footprint, folks from within the community, because this is a long-term recovery effort. Out of the 7 members, 5 have been identified, and it's important to understand their role. You've got the case management, and this is, as we're speaking, this is taking place. You've got Catholic Charities were there. We did get a local resident who does have a civil engineering degree to step up and volunteer and be on the committee. And that's huge for us as a community because then that individual can collaborate with the VOADs like Catholic Charities as far as working with the survivors that want to rebuild. One of the things that I think we're all seeing that we're going to have to be mindful of is the logistics. There was a contractor 6 months to get windows. This is, it's one thing to have a disaster, and even with the mayor of Tuscaloosa, they didn't have these issues present during their disaster.
Right.
We have logistic issues. We're all competing for the labor force. We're all competing for VOAG groups. It's a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Right. And
it's just going to take a collective effort and time to be successful.
And to interrupt or interject,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
The catering to those VOAD groups and encouraging them to help Marshall County is going to be vital. And I don't know that we've rolled out the red carpet. I mean, I think we have plunged some toilets or sent a plumber when their toilets were backed up. But in order to get the volunteer organizations to come rebuild or to help with those funding gaps, we really need to step up and make them pick us versus Graves County or Hopkins County, because it is more desirable for them to go to Hopkins or Graves because they can do multiple projects in the same block and really have they can have a bigger impact, a bigger visual impact immediately, and maintain and coordinate those volunteers. And so I don't want to say our competition is Graves and Hopkins, but guess what? Our competition is Graves and Hopkins. So when we kind of set out these projects as we consider long-term recovery, we may have to be creative, because the normal VOAD groups are already committed other places. So we'll have to, and to that end, maybe it's church groups, or like we're going to have to figure this out and really make it work.
I feel like the numbers that Sue gave the other day in that meeting piqued some interest
Good.
With the 2 guys behind me there from the UMC.
See, they're case management more than
and Catholic.
building.
Well, I think
maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
Some building
I agree,
folks
but I
that they
think,
could tie in. But yeah, the more that we can communicate and just show, the need, especially with that funding gap. So yeah, we had folks that had insurance, but they have devastating funding gaps between what insurance paid and what it's going to cost to repair.
yeah,
But if folks don't tell us or coordinate or go through long-term recovery, we'll never know that they're dying a slow death.
yeah.
We'll never know that they have a $20,000 funding gap for their roof. We just won't know unless
Well,
they,
And I'm sure every disaster is different.
Right.
There's obviously inconsistencies. That's why going back to the very first thing, all the survivors, even if they haven't made their mind up yet.
Right.
They need to go through this. They do not want to wait till March 14th when the SBA and the FEMA application process is done. Because the monies through the foundation, that is going to be very difficult, if not impossible to get. And so, we've ran into those. I've talked to different ones. We've ran into folks who, they feel like they don't deserve to go through that process. They absolutely do, and that's the first step. All these other things that we're having is irrelevant if they don't go through this process.
correct, if they don't submit to FEMA, if they don't submit to SBA, they don't have a great play within the long-term recovery group. It's still
Correct.
possible that they could participate, but it would be better if they submit to FEMA and SBA. The citizens of Marshall County have been paying their taxes for ages. This is the time to turn
This is the
around
time
and
to-
collect on
that's
all those
right.
taxes that have been paid, if
That's
not by
right.
them, then by their family and friends.
All right.
So
All right. Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you.
With that, I'm just going to read this. This is what we had just discussed. The tornado survivors have until March 14th to apply for FEMA assistance. Homeowners and renters with uninsured or underinsured damage to their property from the December 10th, 11th tornadoes in Barron, Caldwell, Christian, Fulton, Graves, Hart, Hickman, Hopkins, Logan, Lyon, Marion, Marshall, Muhlenberg, Ohio, Taylor, and Warren counties have another month to apply for FEMA disaster assistance. FEMA has extended its application deadline to Monday, March 14th because the previously announced date falls on a Sunday. Those who have already applied to FEMA for their December 10th, 11th tornado damage need not apply again. So that was put out by the KYEM. We'll go to item B on correspondence. I'm just going to read this. I know some of you have probably been contacted from our citizens regarding the vehicle tax. So this is from the Commonwealth of Kentucky Office of Senator Donald Douglas that was put out for immediate release. Resolution directing Bashir to exempt Kentuckians from vehicle tax burden unanimously passed Senate committee. On February 10th, yesterday, State Senator Donald Douglas presented Senate Joint Resolution 99 for consideration of the Senate Appropriations and Revenue Committee. It passed the committee unanimously 9-0. The joint resolution carries the force of law. It would require Governor Andy Beshear to order the Department of Revenue to exempt Kentucky taxpayers from the artificially inflated motor vehicle tax burden. During committee testimony on the joint resolution, Douglas explained that under existing law, the governor has authority to remedy this issue today, citing KRS 132-485, which allows, if information is available and warrants, for a deviation from the standard value of motor vehicles. Let me be clear, Senate Joint Resolution 99 would not be necessary if the administration would do what is right and make a choice to exempt our people from the artificial tax increase. Douglas said without action, they are facing a tax burden of nearly $70 million. Statutory language allows the administration to take action if the governor doesn't choose. Senate Joint Resolution 99 will require him to. Douglas was joined for testimony by Senate Transportation Committee Chair, Senator Jimmy Higdon. We've seen unprecedented disruption in our economy, and it only makes sense that deviation is warranted for financial relief for taxpayers, Higdon said. I know I've been contacted, some folks, when that letter was mailed out, so I just felt appropriate to bring this to the court so that folks will know that there is discussion regarding that, where it's going to go. They may have already taken action based off the February 10th date, but it is an issue that some of our citizens were a little upset and probably didn't understand the full effect, but they do know that it's hitting their pockets. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. Approve the minutes on their old business. Approve the minutes February 11th or February 1st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New business, ordinance 2022-02 budget amendment. With it still being under a state of emergency, I think it's April 14th is the deadline for the current state of emergency. First reading is warranted for a budget amendment. Ordinance 2022-02, an ordinance related to the annual budget and amendment thereof under state of emergency, whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds, now be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 is amended to A, increase, decrease revenue accounts, governmental leasing acts, receipts 2021 tornado, $15 million, building inspection fund balance, July 1, $24,287 for a total of $15,024,287. Increase expenditure accounts, FEMA reimbursement, reimbursable expenses, bank lease, $15 million, inspector fees, $24,287, total $15,024,287. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. Is there any discussion?
Move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Let me read this RDAP resolution real quick before we go into executive session. This is annual. We do this every year. This is the TVA and lieu of monies. Fiscal year 2022 authorizing designation of SBGE resolution, County of Marshall. Adoption of a resolution of the Marshall County Fiscal Court designating the Marshall County Industrial Development Authority special purpose government entity, SBGE, to receive Tennessee Valley Authority TVA funds under the Regional Development Agency Assistance Program, RDAP, and authorizing the filing of a Regional Development Agency Assistance Program, RDAP, proposal grant application for up to $155,128 in RDAP funds with the Department for Local Government, DLG, and authorizing the designated Marshall County Industrial Development Authority special purpose government entity to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Marshall County desires to promote and carry out economic development efforts on behalf of the residents of Marshall County, and whereas it is recognized that Regional Development Agency Assistance Program funds available to the county pursuant to KRS Chapter 96 impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and SPGE, and will require, 1, the designation of a special purpose government entity, SPGE, established under KRS 154-5301 to KRS 154-5346. 2, approval of a satisfactory application to be transmitted to DLG for approval. Now therefore be it resolved this 15th day of February 2022 by the Marshall County Fiscal Court that the following special purpose entity, governmental entity, is designated to receive Regional Development Agency Assistance Program funds. Name of SBGE, Marshall County IDA, contact person Dennis Smith, that RDAP project proposal application on behalf of the county for RDAP monies up to $155,128 for the debt service to Southwest One Industrial Park shall be submitted to DLG. The county shall provide each additional information and furnish such documentation and may be required, and the designated SPGE shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project.
Move we
Motion to
approve the
approve.
resolution.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And due to the time, we need to jump down to item I under new business for executive
You
session.
don't have to call till 11, so we can do some other stuff before then.
Okay. Let's see. Um,
C should be easy, right? You got that done. Sheila, you were okay with, I mean, assuming that's what this is, right? The reimbursement, yeah. Yeah, Sheila looked at it, and I made those changes, and I think everybody was on board with it.
Okay. This is item C. This is the E911 employee contracts that we discussed, I think, last court meeting. Marshall County 911 Dispatcher Reimbursement Agreement. This reimbursement agreement is made and entered into this day. Marshall County 911, and let me back up. This is between the employee and the county. So when they go to the state and they get their certification. Whereas 911 wishes to retain qualified and experienced dispatchers for the purpose of providing maximum protection and safety to the citizens of Marshall County. Whereas KRS 15530 and 15590 recommends dispatchers who are employed on a full-time basis to successfully complete a minimum of 160 hours of training in the Telecommunications Academy within a certain time period after initial employment. Whereas such training is provided by Academy conducted by the Department of Criminal Justice Training and presently located in Richmond, Kentucky. Whereas 911 intends to pay the salary of employee while attending the academy, the tuition cost to attend the academy, and to fairly reimburse employee for transportation costs. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing and the hereinafter stated terms and conditions, the parties hereby agree as follows. 911 shall make arrangements for employees' enrollment at the academy within the timeframes recommended by statute or regulation and pay for employees' tuition at the academy. 911 shall pay the employee starting salary of blank per hour during any training at the academy. 911 shall provide a vehicle if one is available for the employee to travel to and from the academy. If a vehicle is not available, 911 shall pay to the employee the sum of the current rate per mile for each mile traveled by employee to and from the academy for the purpose of attending training. The aforesaid transportation allowance to employee by 911 shall include not more than one rough trip each week to and from the academy by private automobile. Employees shall attend the courses, instruction, and training at the academy and shall make all reasonable efforts to successfully complete said courses and graduate during the allotted training period. In consideration of 911's obligations to employees, under paragraphs 1 through 4 above, it is expected that employee will remain employed at 911 for a minimum of 3 years, beginning with employee's official hire date and continuing for a 3-year period thereafter. If employee accepts a position as a dispatcher or similarly situated profession at another agency other than 911, regardless of geographic location, employee shall remit to 911 100% of the costs expended by 911 to facilitate employees' training and certification, including all transportation costs, per diem, travel reimbursement, and academy tuition costs. Employees shall have an ongoing obligation to complete all orders of instruction and training as required by 911 on an annual basis. No provision herein shall be construed to be in conflict with the Marshall County Administrative Code nor infringe upon any employee's rights contained therein. Is there a motion to approve the Marshall County 911 Dispatcher Reimbursement Agreement?
So I'm good with this as long as everybody else is, as long as it does not hinder our ability. So I assume if it does, you'll come back to us and say, this is a hindrance. So I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we need to jump down to item I, executive session.
Move we go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll go ahead and call Morris County Fiscal Court back to order. Item D, under new business. This has to be bid out. Do you want to talk about how well the concessions has been this past year, real quick? This has been the Achilles heel for the park for many years, and we bid this out last time, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, so we'll be bidding the concessions out again. Everything went great this past year. We didn't have any issues or anything. Everything went wonderfully. Yes. Sorry, that was on the spot.
No, and I think the biggest thing is both parties, the county and the CFS, they've really done a great job. And there's been a lot of compliments as far as the concessions. If we bid this out, and something as far as, instead of a 1 year, to where we don't have to bid it out every year, but maybe do like a 5-year bid, that way they can plan on their end. We know that it's going to be in place for a longer period of time. That would really be the only thing that they worked out some issues within the contract that are more organic to you guys, and that both parties are fine with that. But I would say a 5-year contract would be better. That way, it's done with whoever we go with, and it's set for 5 years.
Is it on percentage? Isn't it on
It is.
percentages?
It's
So
based
that
on gross percentage.
so that really changes in prices wouldn't
We do
have an
not-
effect because
yes,
it's the
we
percentage.
don't set anything to do with pricing or menu. It is up to whoever has that contract. They make their own menu, they set their own prices, so they can adjust prices as they need to for inflation. We just, we get that percentage of the sales that comes
Okay.
back to the park.
Yeah, and to address that issue, the contract says that they are to consult with Brittany about the prices.
Price changes
Yeah,
or
just
something.
Just to
Okay.
make sure, we don't want to
Don't
put
want
somebody in there
$50
that's going to
burgers.
gouge everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, doing more than a 1-year contract, whatever you all decide to do there, definitely would be very beneficial. I know year before last, we ended up with not having a vendor. Last year, when we opened it up for bids, we didn't receive any bids at all. We don't want to get into a position where we don't have anybody out there running concessions. I have weighed the pros and cons of us doing that in-house and running it ourselves, and it is far better for us to contract this out and us retain the percentage for maintaining the buildings and the equipment. We would have to get into staffing and hiring people and everything else if we were to run it ourselves, and it gets into a whole lot there. So going the contractor out has worked great for us, but if it was something we didn't have to redo yearly, that would definitely be a benefit if we knew we had an extended period of time to work with one person.
So pertaining to the park concession contract, I'd ask the court to entertain approval to go to bid, allow Brittany to advertise and go to bid for a 5-year contract.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, Sheriff's Budget, Cumulative Report and Annual Settlement for 2021. Questions? I can't remember, is this approve? Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, economic development contract. This, I had Jason put this together real quick. This is for our current projects that are on the table, our Pad Ready site, to have Greg Wiles, and Greg is the executive director for PACRO. He's done a great job. But to have him come in and oversee the current works that are in place. The court approved the KEDFA grant. We got approved. The Pad Ready site is in the works for starting that project. We're also going to put in, Dennis is putting in, the deadline's the 28th of this month for the TVA Invest Prep, and that's for signage. There is also engineered alternate entrance to Southwest 1, that DRA. They should be coming out with their support for projects through DRA. So these are some projects that we have on the table regarding economic development. I don't want to get into the discussion at this point in time as far as long-term, what the solution is. Since Josh has left, this is more or less a contract to bring somebody in to oversee these current projects and to work with the IDA and KOED and the Fiscal Court in my office.
I don't think his court needs to be making long-term solution, if you would, because, I mean, we got the possibility of a new court at the beginning of the year, and I think this is the right approach. Greg is more than capable. I mean, the work he's done with PACRO is just wonderful. So.
It is a one-year contract, and I've talked to Greg, and he's definitely flexible as far as what the court's wishes are at a later date. But if you look at the Appendix A, there's some items there, but if there's anything else that you guys can think of that you want to add, there's obviously room for that.
I'd have to respectfully disagree with our long-term comment after the meeting the other day with KLED. I think we need to be meeting with them, special called meeting, even possibly sooner rather than later, and see what our common goals are. I've talked to commissioners, magistrates in our surrounding counties, and we're the only county that had a economic development director on county payroll. They're all under a board. They're all satisfied with that situation. Seems to be working well for all of them. And I would like to personally see us transition into that situation, and sooner rather than later. So I don't want to support a temporary solution when we haven't even discussed that one.
I don't necessarily disagree with your statements, and I do believe that for the long term, we do need to transition to something like that. My stance is we have the possibility of a new court, and I think the will of the people needs to be heard before we make any long-term commitments to something like that. That's my position on it. So I think we should go ahead with this contract with Mr. Wiles.
So you had mentioned the flexibility piece of it as far as time frame. I guess could something be added to it that mentions that if we, along with KLED and Fiscal Court, do we hire a new economic development director, that this contract ceases at a certain point? Or I think that
You've already got a 30-day.
I agree with you, but the way that I read the 30-day is it was more about productivity, not productivity, but wasn't it?
I can assure you,
30. Yeah, that's the with cause one, right? 30 days without cause. Either side may terminate, right?
Okay, okay. So Marshall County Fiscal Court or the contractor may terminate this agreement without cause by providing, okay. All right, so we just have to give 30 days notice to,
Yeah.
if we do
Yeah.
something else,
And,
okay?
and just to make the court feel comfortable, Greg obviously understands that there's current projects that need to be facilitated, and he's willing to do that. He totally understands that at some point, this is not a long-term.
Right.
And he's not, if you know
Yeah.
Greg, he's not going to fight the court on this. This
Yeah.
is a need that we have to help facilitate these current projects.
Yeah, and that, after seeing that, reading that, I mean, that makes me feel more comfortable with it because of the fact that, yes, I mean, we need to sit down with KLED and we need to work that out. And I don't know how long it's going to take for the process to get someone in here, all that kind of stuff. But I do think we need something in place
Yes.
right now. And it is not a cost. It's actually still a savings to the county because we had budgeted in there much more than this a month for economic development.
As a full-time employee.
As a full-time
Big
employee,
difference.
yes, but still,
Yeah, what's budgeted for, and if you look at this contract, what's budgeted till the end of June, what was budgeted for the office and all the lines that were in for economic development, this is not going to deplete those lines at all.
no, this is probably 25% of what that monthly budget is. As it relates to, let me just ask, as it relates to the expenses, the reimbursable expenses, how do we manage that piece of it?
Pre-approval for what, isn't it, pre-approval is required, right? For any kind of reimbursable experience or expense?
I don't
Isn't that
know.
what it says?
Shall reimburse contractor for all expenses directly attributable to the provision of services under this agreement, provided that such expenses are pre-approved in writing by, so how would we do that? How would we do a pre-approval of mileage?
Well, one could come to the court. I mean, if Greg foresees a trip, I can go off experience with like PACRO, it's brought to the court, or brought to the board, and they discuss the trip, and the board approves it. In this case, if it's, I'm just using an example, if there's a situation where he knows he's going to have expenses incurred, he can come to the court for approval, or the court, it says 30 days. The court can actually even put in certain items that are approved. Obviously, travel could be one, but that's up to what we want.
Okay. That's a big word that I looked over, which is pre-approved. So I'm comfortable with that, with the pre-approval. But again, I think the key here is that it's a 30-day notice upon, hopefully, when we are able to work through this with KLED and the fiscal court together to decide the future, and then that this goes away. And I agree with you all. Greg it's a great asset to have Greg. So.
And I can just share with the court, my office, I mean, I've got my staff involved with this current tornado, and county business does not stop. And the current projects that are on the table, I know, Jason, you've been trying to get a hold of me. I mean, it is the time right now is not a good time, in my opinion, to be discussing the full issue of economic development, because it's just, this is a solution for the immediate need. The long-term need, I think, is definitely going to be a further discussion in detail. But this will help me out because, Dennis was on vacation. I didn't get out of here till 8 o'clock last night. I mean, we're on the phone, and he's actually putting in the TVA and Best Prep. This will be our third time putting that in. The deadline is the 28th of this month. And these are things that Greg can help facilitate for the immediate need. It'll help my office.
I agree, and we've discussed the need to have that, kind of separate too, and I think that does that. There's no.
I've got two more questions. How was the salary determined and was this advertised?
No, this would be considered a professional service.
And this is only going to cover Southwest 1, not City of Calvert or Hardin or Aurora or anywhere else as far as economic development?
City of Calvert has their own employee that does that. Josh worked at the pleasure of the Fiscal Court.
So once again, how was that salary determined?
Our approval.
The $2,000 a month?
Well, that's just the pay for the contract per month.
Yeah, how was that determined? What was the basis for that?
It was just a reasonable number that was put on the table. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we enter into the contract. I think Mr. Wise is very capable of doing the job. I think the amount is reasonable.
Yeah, based on the amount of work.
Yeah.
And again, we have at a minimum, probably a $8,000 budget. I'd say that's less than what we really actually have. So for it to be a quarter of that, because again, and I understand it's not going to be full-time, I think it's reasonable as well. So I'll second that motion.
Yeah, and just to compare, if we're going to compare from what I see as far as PACRO, this is a considerably less, same scenario. I mean, he is the executive director of PACRO, his company is, and he is given us a very reasonable offer to help us out. So it's less than what he's doing for PACRO. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Transfers.
I am asking to transfer $9,000 from the building inspection reserves to the inspector fees lines, and then to move $8,000 from the economic development director salary. I want to move $3,000 to repairs and maintenance of the courthouse and $5,000 to judicial maintenance, building and grounds. And then I have a transient tax transfer of $38,041.18.
And I just want to point out in that budget line for the Economic Development Director salary, the amount of time that Josh has been gone, that has actually saved us $10,000. So that's why the judicial building maintenance and repairs was suggested to come out of that line.
Move we approve the transfer.
Second.
All those in
One
favor
transfer or
say aye.
multiple?
It's one transfer out of the economic development.
It's all on the same transfer though, right?
Yeah.
I thought you said about the transient.
Well, the transient tax transfer is $38,041.18.
But-
But we just send it over to the Kentucky Lake.
But I'm just procedurally, do you need one motion to take care of all this, or you do make? Okay.
I think that's what we've
Yeah.
done in the past, because that transient was
For
out on
transfers,
bond.
yeah. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Bills and claims, is there any reason to deny payment of the bills and claims? Hearing none, let the clerk record that the bills and claims are to be paid. Discussion, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.